Hi, this is Lori from Shoo Shoo Paper Art, and I'm going to show how to make this cute card today featuring these darling owls from Woodware stamps. Aren't they cute? I couldn't wait to do something with them when I got them in the mail. This card also features a flat shaker, which is made a little bit different from the ones I've made before. So let's start there with the shaker. I use these MFT stamps, Dynamics. They are the circle stitch dies, and they worked perfectly to create the shaker. I used the largest one to create the shaker for this card. Here are the pieces. This is on 110-pound cardstock so that there's a little bit of thickness. If you cut it just from plain decorative paper, I would go ahead and cut a cardstock circle as well to make it just a little bit thicker, so there'll be a little bit of room for to shake. So I didn't want to sew this, and I needed a way to make this work without glue oozing everywhere. So I came up with something that actually worked. I'm using some Aleene's and a paintbrush that I just use for glue. So I'm going to turn the top over to the back and just put a ring of Aleene's all the way around. And then I'm going to use my paintbrush to thin it out and make it a layer from edge to edge. And this seems to work. If I get it brushed out enough, it seals it up, but keeps it from oozing, which makes a big mess. Okay. I didn't have a circle die the right size for the transparency, but that's no problem. I just went ahead and adhered it to a piece of transparency, not cut yet. Oops, I've got something on it already. Okay, let's move it over a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to press it down, sealing it all the way around. And I'm just going to let that dry. And when it's dry, I will just go ahead and cut all the way around the circle, and that way I'll have the top finished. For the back of the shaker, I went ahead and taped the two pieces back together, the outside ring and the inside circle, and stamped and heat embossed 3 of the hearts that come from the stamp set. There's a big heart and a little heart, which I used on the shaker. And I just used Versamark and blue Zing heat embossing powder to do those. And then, let's take a look at the finished one again. I used a heart punch to punch some pink, dark gray, yellow, green hearts to fill the shaker with. And I went ahead and glued these two in place because I didn't want them to move around. Then I also put in some of these vintage blue sequins that I was lucky enough to find. And a couple of those are also glued in place so that there's just kind of something always right there. And then to seal the top onto the back, I used the exact same method that I just showed. I put some glue on and used the brush and just pressed the top onto the back. And it seems to have worked really well. The only other thing I did was add a little bit of glitter around to the outside. It just needed a little bit of, shimmer and sparkle. Okay, so let's move on to the owls. I used watercolor on them and also a little bit of distress ink, which just made such a pretty color here on the limb. So let's get started on the owls. Okay, so I started by stamping the image with antique linen distress ink. And I like to use this when I kind of want the lines to disappear instead of having the black line outline. And this works pretty well for that. So this is antique linen. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is start with this little guy here. And I'm thinking about where the light may be coming from and where I want to start the color. And if the lighting is coming from this direction, then he's going to have some shadows here underneath his wing. And so that might be a really good place to start with putting in some color. So I will just go ahead and put some of the blue in there and then get a little bit more water and start pulling that color away from the spot that I put it in. And then maybe a little bit over here. And maybe some right here in his beak. Okay, I'm going to continue in this manner, laying in color where it would be in shadow, where it should be a little bit darker. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit, and then when I'm ready to change to the Distress ink, I'll slow it down again. Okay, let's take a look at finishing up the tree limb. This starts with Victorian Velvet Distress Ink. I love this color and it just turns out so pretty. I've got a scrap piece of transparency here and I'm just going to smush out some color and use my brush to put just a little bit of water in it, and then we'll be ready to get started. After I use the Victorian Velvet, I'm going to come in and accent it with a little bit of brown watercolor where the darkest places would be. So I'll go ahead and start and speed up the process. Okay, I just think that's so pretty. I love the browns and that Victorian velvet. It's so pretty. All right, the next thing we need to do on the owls is the eyes. I thought the eyes needed to be a lot more prominent, so I just used a Prismacolor fine line marker to just simply follow the stamp, follow the outlines, and color them in. Okay, the last step before cutting them out, let's take a look here at the finished product, is that I stamped the belly of this one and the wing of this one on some gingham cardstock and cut that out and glued it in place. And then I just cut them out so that I could put them on the shaker card. And these are the, hello, these leaves are actually cut off and glued to the shaker piece itself because it was too hard to cut out, the little pieces that were there. Let's see, this is finished off with I'll Always Love You, a sentiment from the set, and some pattern paper and real pretty seam binding ribbon and twine. So thank you for joining me, and you can find me at shooshoepaperart.com. Thank you.